with In Studio. Now, a lot of people have been asking, let's put the hair stuff on the side for a second.
Okay.
And let's talk about growing up.
Yeah,
A lot of people want to know what Dave Palumbo was like growing up. And
he tortured me.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, my son, and now my son's doing it to my daughter, so I know where he gets it from.
Right.
You know, I tell people stories about, you know, when I was a runner, when I got into bodybuilding. You know, you were at, my sister, I gotta tell you, give credit where credit's due. Every one of my first couple bodybuilding shows that I did, probably the first couple of years of my life, she was at every single show.
Yes.
Yeah, and she suffered through the whole day of whatever, you know, the craziness. You're there, and you're sitting on the floor, and you're eating, you know, grilled, disgusting food. And, when you saw me in 1990 compete for the first time, it was a natural New York City, I believe. I didn't even place top 5. I think I was 6th or something like that in the show. Did you ever think that I would get to the level that I was at? Honestly, you can say no.
No, I'm going to say yes, because, and I'll tell you why. Because you're.
By the way, I was 168 pounds at 5'10".
Yeah. Yes. But you dieted for that show. Yeah. You were very determined. And when you wanted to do something, I knew you would do it. And I thought it was really interesting, right? And it started getting me on the path of getting really fit, so that was good. But did I ever think you'd get to the size you eventually got to? No. I thought you would maybe stay like middle, maybe light heavy.
Like 190.
Yeah. I didn't think you'd be at like, what were you at, like 300 pounds at one point?
300 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my girlfriends would come into the house and I was so used to you.
Yeah.
And one of them actually almost passed out, literally almost passed out, and said, I've never seen somebody that large in my entire life. Oh my God, he's one big muscle. And I said, are you okay? And she goes, Nicole, I have to sit down.
Now, I have to tell another story because I want you to verify this. I don't think people believe me. In 1996, I went to Myrtle Beach. I was helping a girl by the name of Donna Restiva, who I'm actually helping again. She's made a comeback.
Oh, great.
She had triplets.
Wow.
And she won the Junior USA, and I was dieting for the USA. I think it was 96 USA. And I didn't cheat the whole time I was there. And you know, Myrtle Beach is all buffets, and I wanted to, but I wanted to wait to come back to eat my cheat meal at the Sushi restaurant that we eat at every Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
Now back then, and my sister can verify this, there was no sushi buffets, there was no all-you-can-eat places, except one place in Manhattan.
Right, where we went.
Where we would go. And my sister would and you had to eat the rice and the actual sushi. So what we would do is we would put under the table, we would put this like garbage pail or garbage bag, and we would throw the rice.
We used to the napkins too. We used to put it in the napkins.
And we would throw it into this bag. So before I figured the reason I created the bag under the table trick was because my sister would put it in her napkin, and then what we would do is we'd go into the bathroom, we would throw it in the garbage.
Right.
But you decided you were going to throw the rice into the toilet bowl.
Right.
And you flushed the toilet bowl and you clogged the toilet bowl. Remember? And it was overflowing into the restaurant.
So now everyone knows that I did that. So thank you so much.
If you didn't eat the rice, they would charge you for the extra rolls, and we didn't want to eat all that rice. So.
Right.
Anyway, so that was just a funny aside.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
So one day, so when I got back from Myrtle Beach, we got back and I got in the car and I drove to the city. Now remember, from Long Island to the city was like 45 miles.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't care. I was starving. I got to have my cheat meal. It was Saturday night or something like that, or Sunday night.
I think it was a Sunday.
You weren't with me. My sister lived in Queens at the time.
I remember because I know where you're going.
Long Island and the restaurant. So I ate so much at the restaurant that I couldn't barely get into the car because my stomach was so full. I must have eaten about 250 rolls.
Yeah.
Okay, and I get into the car and I call I called you up. Do you remember what I said to you?
You said I need to come over to ride the bike.
Right. I had to come over.
But it was a Sunday night. I had to go to work the next day. I had a roommate. I go, you can't come ride the bike.
Because what happened was
the bike's in the living room.
I had a life cycle that I had bought. And I didn't really need it anymore because I wasn't really doing that much cardio, so I gave it to you.
Yeah,
so
when I moved out, I took it.
Right.
It was part of my negotiation to move.
So I stopped at your apartment on the way back, and I rode the bike for an hour because I'd eaten so much sushi. I figured I sabotaged my diet. It was a completely eating disorder.
You're leaving out the biggest part of the story.
What?
Okay, so you did that, but I told you couldn't ride the bike. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to come over anyway. And you were with Barbara, and I said, okay, so you come in, we start to chit-chat. Diane, my roommate, was there. We're all chit-chatting. Yeah. All of a sudden, he lingers over to the bike, and he just starts sitting on it. Yeah. And no one's saying anything because we're still chit-chatting. And all of a sudden, he starts slowly riding the bike. And I'm like, you son of a gun. I'm like, and then Diane at that point was like, whatever, ride the bike.
This is Long Island behavior,
Yeah.
So I a lot of people say I always act so cool, like, oh, don't worry about it if you eat too much.
Yeah.
I had some eating disorder behaviors too.
Yeah. We all did.
I had eaten so much it was coming up my throat, and I was burping, and pieces of sushi were coming as I was riding the bike because that's how much I had eaten. Because I was able to eat a lot of food. It was crazy, but. So that's just one of a million stories that I'm sure she could tell you. But yeah, I think that what people don't understand is that when I tell these stories, I'm not exagerating.
No, you're really not. No. But did you ever tell them when you were running and you were like 100 pounds and we all thought you were gonna we all thought you had anorexia?
I was in the other. I go two directions. I mean, I was either skinny or I was super big.
Right.
And yeah, I tell the story also. I don't know if people believed it also. I think you living at home at this point when I wanted to go running because I would run at least 10 miles every day. Yeah. And I was home for break from college, and I don't know if you were living there at the time.
Of course I was living there. You're older than me.
Yeah, you're right. And it was snowing out.
Yeah.
And it was snowing there was so much snow outside. There had to be like over a foot out that I couldn't run in running shoes because I would have slipped and killed myself. So I put on spikes that you would wear on like a cinder track that had spikes this long, and I ran 10 miles in the spikes. And people were pulling over on the side of the road and saying, "Sir, do you need a lift? Are you stuck?" I'm like, "No, I'm good."
I do remember that story because by the time you got back, Daddy was so aggravated that you had went running, and I was like, I don't know how he just did that.
You couldn't even walk in the street. You couldn't even walk on the sidewalks because the snow was
closed. I don't know how the heck you did that.
It was great. It was a great experience. My feet hurt for 4 days after that because I was wearing spikes for 10 miles.
But you would have never admitted that. You were like, I'm fine, I'm good. I'm good.
The reason I mention these stories is because that's the level of determination that I had to succeed. And I know you have a very similar level of determination in business and everything you did. My sister actually competed in some of I think you were like one of the first one or two fitness shows.
Yes.
When they only had bodybuilding, men's and women's bodybuilding, and at some point you said, I'm going to do a fitness show. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know, because it was very hard for people who had no gymnastics background to do fitness because you had to do a routine.
Yeah.
There was no figure at the time.
No, there was no figure. You literally had to do a routine, and I'm the most uncoordinated person you've ever met in your entire life.
And I said to myself, there's no way she's going to be able to do this routine. But I said, let's see how determined you are. And you hired a choreographer and you did it. You did a few shows, right?
Yeah, I did like about 7.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I should have told you I
know. But I did actually pretty well on them too. I mean, I placed, my first one, I think I was 5th, and the second.
Because physique-wise, you had a good physique. It just was, the routine was brutal.
Yeah, the routine was brutal.
It's
one of the reasons I stopped,
Yeah, I remind Eileen Calabrese. I don't know if you remember Eileen. She's in Oklahoma now. Remember she was.
I do remember Eileen. Of course, she was fabulous.
Yeah, she had the gymnastics background, and she's the NPC district chairman now in Oklahoma.
Oh wow!
And I'm good friends with her, and so she remembers you too, obviously.
Yeah, she was. First of all, I thought she was beautiful, and I thought she was so fantastic. Yeah. I used to always be like, I don't know how you're not winning the show.
I don't know either because I thought she had a good physique too.
And she had a great routine. Yeah. She had a great physique, and very pretty lady.
Yeah. So, but that was the 90s. The 90s was
bodybuilding
and fitness, and that was really it. And there was nothing else available, and you had to find your niche. And nowadays, there's fitness and figure and bikini and women's physique, and
there's a lot.
There's a million divisions. It's changed quite a bit, but like you said, I know a lot of women who compete who do have, also getting back to the hair issue, who have a lot of hair issues, and I think that this procedure is way better. Monica Brent, and you know Monica Brent, she did a video a number of years ago about hair graft restoration, where she had gotten done because she felt like her hairline was coming down.
Right.
But she'd probably be a person you can contact. She might like this procedure because she's a lot better looking than I am, and I'm sure she would endorse something like this as well. Yeah. Look, I'm a big believer in making people feel good about themselves.
Absolutely. As am I.
Yeah.
As am I. I think it's always important to feel that way, especially as a woman. Listen, men typically will lose hair, and it's been an acceptable part of society. When women lose their hair, it's not. We're like, whoa, you're walking around like that? A man, listen, everyone wants their hair. It definitely takes 10 to 15 years off you, okay? Yeah. But as a woman, our vanity is our hair. Yeah. So, you get a bad haircut as a woman, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not leaving the house. Could you imagine having such diffusion?
And some women have short haircuts. And
absolutely.
And it's even worse if you have a short haircut because you can see it a lot more. You can't hide it as much.
I don't know, you remember our grandma Annie?
Yeah.
She had to wear that big bouffant because she had a lot of diffusion.
Well, I think a lot of women, when they hit menopause, they start losing more hair.
Absolutely, 100% correct.
Estrogen, I believe, protects the hair a little bit.
Oh, estrogen protects everything.
Yeah. So
right.
At least the feminine aspects of it.
Yes.
So
yes.
Look, guys, $250 off. call the number in the link below. Mention Dave Palumbo, RxMuscle, this TV show. And let us know in the comments below, once you get the consult or procedure done, if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, if you're happy with the results. So far, I'm thrilled. I'm going to keep you guys updated every week.
You look great.
As I get through the procedure next Wednesday, once again, will be number 2. And then probably 2 weeks after that, I'll probably go back for a third touch-up. And you guys, I'll put up before and after pictures. I'll do another video update. And I don't know if my sister will be in town, but if not, we'll get her at some point.
I could absolutely try.
Is there a best way to contact, if these people want to contact anyone, like through the website? Does Hair Club have a website where they answer questions?
Absolutely.
Do they have frequently asked questions, maybe?
Absolutely. You can absolutely go to the website. There'll always be someone there to answer questions or do a live chat.
Oh, there's live chats.
Oh, absolutely. And if you just want to email through David, I am always happy to take questions that he sends to me as well. I mean, absolutely.
Well, Nicole, thanks for joining us in
Thanks
the studio.
for having me.
This is the first time, and maybe we'll get you back.
It won't be the last.
I'm sure by popular demand, they're going to send me. I'm going to see 4,000 questions. You forgot to ask you this and this and this and this.
I love it.
I can't remember everything. Send your questions.
Please send your questions.
Ask Nicole segment.
Love it.
Next time she's here, and then you guys can answer all the questions. For now, we are out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with my sister Nicole Vitale for another installment of Live With in Studio.